I want to empower you today. Well, I guess really what I'm saying is I want to remind you of the power you have. Over the years, I've worked with a lot of hurting people and know that some of the atrocities that this world can hold. So sometimes we feel powerless because we are powerless, or we have been. Sometimes we feel like victims because we were victims. And if we don't watch it, sometimes even when we outgrow that, because a lot of times the powerlessness and the victims was when we were children or maybe in a relationship we're not even in now. We might have moved on from those things, but we still are left with a leftover feeling that somehow life is just unfair and it's just not going to work for me. And we feel like we are a victim. We feel powerless. Can I tell you that if you are a victim of suicide, it's only because you're the victimizer. It sounds simple, but it's true. I don't have the power to stop anyone from taking their life, other than maybe getting them committed for a spell that they're going to sit in a stripped down room in a paper gown to help them get through, and maybe give them medicine or whatever helps them get over the crisis. But even when the crisis is over, if somebody's going to do it, they're going to do it. I've already experienced this. And of course, usually, many times they don't tell you. You don't really get a clue till later and you go, oh, I missed it. But the reality is I've had to learn that one of the hardest things I did was acknowledging my own powerlessness to stop this thing. And I want to just give you an example that came to me today. My husband and I were foster parents for teenagers, most of them girls, for 14 years. And boy, we could tell you some stories. But one thing I learned to do when those girls came to live with us is to look at the door and say, look, we want you, we chose you. We want you to be a part of our family, and we want to do the best we can. We know we're not mom and dad. We're not trying to be that, but we're here today for you, and our home is your home. But we know that door locks and unlocks from this side. But so the reality is, you are big enough that you know numbers, you know people, that when we're fast asleep, you can call somebody and they can pick you up at the end of the road. And we won't have a clue what happened, where you were at. And we know this because it happened, right? You have the power to, if you don't want to get on the bus after school and you just get in the car with somebody and drive off, and the bus comes, we're like, well, where's so-and-so? And they're not here. Well, we don't know. You have the power. We acknowledge that. But then we say, but here's what our responsibility, ours is that when you do that, the minute we know you're gone, we have to report to police and we have to call your caseworker. And then it's out of our hands. They're probably not going to bring you back to us if you ran away from us. You're going to be put in another placement, and I don't know what that looks like. So just remember that as much as we're going to want you and probably want you back, there was a few we might not have wanted back, but it won't be up to us. Our choice is to love you and have you here and do the best we can, but your choice whether you stay. First of all, that empowered them to really think ahead. Think ahead. Because if they don't, in a rash moment, they can get mad. They can have a fight with one of their siblings or don't like the rules, and they just thank you and they make plans and they got the little boyfriend they've gone off down the road with. But I'd had to hope that, and I saw this work where when we allowed them ahead of time to know, this is what it's going to be like. And it's your choice. Well, I feel like it's sort of the same thing with suicide. I've had to tell people, look, I can hope and pray that you don't take your life. Because you're not just going to take your life, you're going to take part of my life. You're going to take part of the life and heart of everybody that gives a flip about you. They'll never be the same. But we know, I have to acknowledge that if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. I can't take responsibility of trying to stop this. I'll do the best I can. But I want to acknowledge to you, it's up to you to make the choice ahead of time, like I hope you're doing today listening to this. You have to know this is what it's going to look like. This is what I have a choice now. While I'm not in an angry fit, I'm not in a pit of despair. Way back here, I make the choice to realize I have the power. I have the power, and nobody else does. Empower that today, and make a choice today to take the option of suicide off the table. Ahead of time, let's make a plan on what to do instead of that. Every time you want to think about it, what are you going to replace that with? It's just not an option.